Have you ever found yourself lost in a whirlwind of thoughts, even when everything seems to be in order? Overthinking can quietly consume us, robbing us of peace and trapping us in a cycle of constant worry. But what if there was a way out? Today, we'll explore how Buddhist monks tackle overthinking and how you can apply these lessons to bring more calm and clarity into your life. If this idea resonates with you, like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Now, imagine we're walking together through a peaceful temple, ready to begin this journey. Think about this. Has your mind ever replayed the same worry on a loop, like a song you can't get out of your head? Maybe it's the deadline for a project, something you said, or a future possibility that never happens. Thinking is natural, but overthinking becomes a burden. Scientists estimate we have about 60,000 thoughts a day, many of them repetitive. They drain our energy and create a constant state of alertness that harms our physical and emotional well-being. In Buddhism, there's a simple metaphor for this. Holding a hot coal intending to throw it at someone only burns you. Overthinking works the same way. It tricks us into believing we're solving problems, but in reality, we're just hurting ourselves. How does this affect our health? Studies show that the stress caused by overthinking can lead to insomnia, headaches, increased anxiety, and even heart problems. But its impact goes beyond the body. Overthinking steals the present moment, separates us from reality, and traps us in problems that often aren't real. Now that we know how overthinking affects us, the question arises, how would a Buddhist monk deal with it? That's exactly what we'll explore today. Picture a monk meditating under the shade of a tree while the world moves around them. Their mind, however, isn't completely silent. Even monks face incessant thoughts, but the difference lies in how they perceive them. In Buddhism, thoughts are seen as clouds in the sky. They come, pass, and dissolve. The practice isn't about eliminating thoughts, but learning to observe them without clinging to them. This detachment is called non-attachment. A common phrase taught by monks is, "You are not your thoughts." It sounds simple, but this idea is profoundly liberating. When we understand that thoughts are just mental events, not absolute truths, we begin to weaken their power over us. Another metaphor often used in Buddhism is the bowl of water. When our mind is agitated, it's like a bowl of water filled with mud, murky, confused. By allowing the water to settle through stillness and mindfulness, the mud sinks and clarity emerges. Monks also emphasize that overthinking is often a form of resistance. We resist the present, uncertainties, and emotions that make us uncomfortable. Instead of fleeing or fighting, monks approach these emotions with gentle acceptance. The next time you find yourself lost in incessant thoughts, pause. Say to yourself, "This is just a thought." Observe it as if it were a leaf floating down a river. Let it go without judgment. This shift in perspective is the first step. Have you noticed how overthinking often begins with something small? A misunderstood comment, a decision to make, or an unresolved issue? Before you know it, your mind spins endless scenarios, each more complicated than the last. The cycle of overthinking is fueled by two main factors: worry about the future and rumination about the past. These thoughts are like seeds planted by triggers, situations, emotions, or even words that lead us to revisit our insecurities. How can you identify these triggers? Notice your emotions. Feelings like anxiety, fear, or guilt often precede overthinking. When these emotions arise, your mind tries to solve the discomfort by creating narratives or overplanning. Pay attention to patterns. Are there specific times when you overthink? Maybe it's at night before bed, after a work meeting, or when facing a tough decision. These patterns reveal recurring triggers. Analyze the content of your thoughts. What do you think about repeatedly? Is it related to seeking approval, fear of failure, or a desire to control the future? These repetitions show where your mind is stuck. Buddhist monks believe that recognizing the cycle is an act of wisdom. After all, we can't face what we don't understand. They teach that every trigger is an opportunity to awaken and break the cycle. A simple practice to start. The next time you notice a trigger, try labeling your thoughts. Say to yourself, "This is a worry about the future," or "This is a memory from the past." Labeling creates distance between the thought and your identity, weakening its power. The power of silence, transformative meditation. Silence might feel uncomfortable in a world full of notifications, meetings, and constant noise. Yet, for Buddhist monks, silence is more than the absence of sound. It's a state of presence and clarity. When the mind is overwhelmed with thoughts, it resembles a glass of water stirred with sand. Meditation, or the practice of silence, is like letting the glass sit still, allowing the sand to settle so the water becomes clear again. What makes meditation so powerful? Meditation isn't about forcing the mind to be quiet, but observing thoughts without engaging with them. Imagine watching clouds drift across the sky. They don't stay forever, and you don't have to hold on to them. Meditation trains your mind to focus on the now instead of being dragged by past worries or future anxieties. The breath is a powerful anchor for this, always present, always available. Meditation teaches that you are not your thoughts, but the observer of them. This distance dissolves the power of overthinking and brings lightness to the mind. How to start? You don't need a temple or hours of free time. Begin with a simple practice. Find a quiet place and sit comfortably. Close your eyes and focus on your breathing. When a thought arises, acknowledge it without judgment. Internally say, "Thought," and return your attention to your breath. Even 5 minutes a day can bring a surprising sense of calm. Monks say silence is the antidote to mental agitation. It gives us space to breathe, process, and find clarity. Embracing uncertainty, acceptance as the key to peace. Why is overthinking so common when facing uncertainty? Because the human mind has a natural need for control. We want to ensure everything will go as planned, but ironically, the more we try to control, the more restless our mind becomes. Buddhist monks believe that uncertainty isn't something to fight, but to accept. They teach that life is impermanent. Everything is constantly changing. Resisting this truth creates suffering Embracing uncertainty, on the other hand, brings freedom. What does it mean to embrace uncertainty? Recognize that control is an illusion. No amount of planning can guarantee perfect outcomes. Accepting this isn't resignation, but understanding that life doesn't need to be completely predictable to be good. Practice detachment. In Buddhism, detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means committing to your efforts without clinging to the outcome, like a gardener planting seeds without guaranteeing they will all bloom. Be present in the now. Much of our worry about uncertainty stems from thinking about the future. But the future isn't here yet. Only the present moment is real. When we connect to the now, anxiety dissolves. A practice for embracing uncertainty. Monks suggest a practice called active acceptance. When a thought about the future arises, say to yourself, "I don't know what will happen, and that's okay." Ask yourself, what is within my control right now? Focus only on the next step, without trying to predict every outcome. Accepting uncertainty is like letting go of a weight you've been carrying unnecessarily. The less we resist the unpredictable, the freer we become. Have you noticed how overthinking always drags us to the past or the future? We're never overthinking about the now because the present is direct and simple. That's why the wisdom of the present moment is one of the most powerful tools to quiet an overactive mind. Buddhist monks say the present moment is like a precious gem, always within reach, but often overlooked. When we bring our attention back to the now, we break the cycle of worries and return to a state of clarity. What does it mean to live in the present? Recognize that the now is all there is. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. The only place where we can truly live, act, and experience life is here and now. A common practice in monasteries is to bring mindfulness to everyday tasks, washing dishes, sweeping the floor, walking. Doing these tasks with full attention teaches us to be present. By focusing on what you feel, the sound of the wind, the texture of an object, your breath, you interrupt the incessant flow of thoughts and anchor yourself in the present moment. An exercise to try now. Pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Notice 3 things around you: what you see, hear, and physically feel. Stay with these sensations for a few moments. Did you notice how your mind slows down when you connect to the present moment? This simple practice can be done anytime, anywhere. The present moment isn't a magical solution, but it's a constant refuge. It reminds us that we don't need to solve everything now. We just need to live one moment at a time. Now comes the most important part: how to turn what we've learned into practical actions that truly change how you deal with overthinking. You don't need to overhaul your life. Small, consistent practices can bring significant transformations. Practice intentional pauses. When you notice your mind racing, pause. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, is this thought useful right now? If not, let it go. Set aside moments of silence. Dedicate 5 minutes in the morning or evening to simply be silent. Use this time to observe your thoughts without judgment, as if you were a spectator. Connect with your breath. Whenever you feel lost in thoughts, focus on your breath. Inhale deeply to a count of 3 and exhale to a count of 3. This simple focus interrupts the flow of thoughts. Adopt the good enough mindset. Monks teach that not everything needs to be perfect. Instead of trying to predict or control every detail, ask yourself, is this good enough for now? Create a gratitude ritual. At the end of each day, write down or say aloud 3 things you're grateful for. Gratitude shifts your mind from what's missing to what's present. Remember the monk's mantra, "This too shall pass." Use this phrase to remind yourself that even the most troubling thoughts are temporary and don't define you. The path to breaking the cycle of overthinking isn't a race. It's a journey made of small, daily choices. Each time you practice being present or letting a thought go, you strengthen your mind. Remember, no matter how long you've been on the road of overthinking, there's always time to change direction. Overcoming the habit of overthinking is like learning to hear silence amidst chaos. It doesn't happen all at once, but with each small step, you find more clarity, calm, and connection to life. Now it's your turn to act. Try one of these practices today and see how it transforms your day. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe for more teachings like this. And remember, the peace you seek is already within you. You just need to make space for it to flourish.